Welcome to the channel, all of my friends, regulars, newcomers, audiophiles, audio curious people. We don't label or judge here. Well, some of us do, but I don't. Try not to, anyways. I welcome everybody to the stream today. This is the second time I've been live today. The first one was just more from my phone, which I do just about every Saturday. I've had a number of people ask me about my streaming schedule, and because I do work like a 9 to 5, but it's more like a 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., which means I'm waking up at 5 in the morning and I don't have my evenings anymore. My streaming schedule is pretty limited. I'd like to start going live for just casual chat, questions, things that are new in the world, news, stuff like that, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I can maybe pick up something Friday, Saturday as my usual, and try to keep the live stream busy that way. So that would be a potential new live stream media presence. Tuesdays, Thursdays after I get off work for an hour or two, maybe 5 p.m., 6 p.m., that kind of thing, Eastern Standard Time. And then on Friday, Saturday, towards the evening, I could probably do something maybe 6 or 7. I usually do like anywhere between 4 p.m., 5, 6, 7 p.m. on Saturdays. And that's my normal schedule. So anybody asking, that's what my schedule will probably be going forward. Anyway, so today, the reason why I'm on here today, and I hope that everything is working well, stream is going well, people can hear me well. Let me just double check my own tech, considering there's nobody commenting just yet. I want to make sure that everything sounds good, and it does. It sounds like it works. Perfect. Okay. So the reason why I wanted to go live today is to talk about my recent experience with the Fosi audio, however you want to say it, Fosi audio V3 monos. This is the way the box shows up. Let me just do a quick unboxing again. I already did one of these. But I want to show that all of my items are back in the box, and I want to talk about exactly why they're back in the box. This one did come with the 48-volt brick and the amplifier, which I did put back in the packaging. So if anybody doesn't know what the V3 was, this is the V3. Comes with the selectors on the front, XLR, RCA, says the modes for the amp are on, auto, and off. The back, RCA, XLR. I don't know if the gain setting actually affects the XLR input. I don't know why it's not focusing, but I don't know that it does. From my experiences with this amp, it doesn't affect the XLR input. From what I was listening to with my time with these amps, which was actually and admittedly very short. There was a couple of things that I noticed from the performance that led me to the decision I'm going to talk about today. I didn't notice it changing at all with the gain settings, so I'm going to read through the manual, which I have been given shit for before and have said multiple times to many people that they should definitely read the manual when they are using anything and commenting on anything. So I'm going to do that. Cynad 101 dB XLR, 93 on RCA, dynamic range is 125. Terminal impedance 2 to 8 ohms, and then the wattage ratings, 32 volt power supply is 100 watts, 48 is 240 watts. Okay, cool. All well and good. That sounds fine. Can I see in here anywhere that talks about the gain setting? Frequently asked questions, like one page of operation. And it doesn't say anything there about the gain. And then the next page is Chinese. So reading the manual has revealed nothing about the gain settings. It does have a gain setting between minus 19 Let me see. The V3 model incorporates XLR, TRS, RCA modes, with the latter offering. So RCA modes, with the latter offering 25 to 31 gain selection. So only RCA offers that. So it also features automatic standby, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the gain function is only the RCA, which I was not using. I was using the XLR inputs, and that answers my first question. So it's not like it was malfunctioning, it's just it wasn't working for the setup that I have. I would have had to change my cables in order to benefit from the gain setting. Probably would have been beneficial, to be honest, because one of my first observations with these amps is it was really quiet. I plugged them in using the same preamp that I've been using in my system for my BuckEye Audio A10s, which I would love to insert a photo, but trust me, they're here in my system. You can watch previous videos for that. So I was listening to the same preamp on the Fosi audio monos on my Radiant acoustic speakers, which I have. I think this light is too bright. My face is like completely blown out. So I was listening to the Radiant acoustics with them, and I had to turn the preamp up at least half as much more volume. So it's normally set at like 40, 45, 40 up towards 0. And I had to turn it up to 20 in order to get the same kind of volume out of the Radiants. And I was surprised. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This is XLR. I should have even more dB output, right? It says 101 in the booklet as opposed to 95 with RCA, give or take the gain settings. So I think it was 20 to 30 gain sensitivity. I think the back says 19 to 25. I'm not even really sure. So that's interesting. But let me just bring up the model on the web page. We'll see if we can get some details from the web page. So here's the back of the, so yeah, it's 25 and 31 to the RCA input. Now, that would have helped. I guess 25 is their standard. I don't know what the XLR input is. It doesn't say what the nominal gain setting is on the XLR. But if I used RCA to test it out, then that would have been better, seeming how my preamp had to work twice as hard in order to get the voltage out to the amps to start working. So that's one thing. This is the other topic I wanted to mention. They're talking about heat dispersion here through the bottom of the chassis, and to be honest, I think that it's a unibody aluminum chassis. I had mentioned it in my unboxing that the only seams are around the front plate and around the back of the module, or the back of the amp entirely. So the front plate has got this face plate, and then the back, let me see if I can get a photo of the back. So there's no, this is where the screws are. So this screw head attaches to the faceplate on this other side, and then otherwise the heat is dissipated through the whole side. So it says ventilating, enhanced air circulation. I guess that's if you want to use enhanced. So my time with these revealed that they were almost too hot to the touch after 15 minutes. And I'm talking normal, like 60 dBs of listening volume. It wasn't low bass. It wasn't high intensity music. I wasn't running them to the limit. It was just on, like regular everyday 60 decibels worth of volume on. I don't understand why the amps are so hot to the touch. And as far as I know, I mean, their technology, they're talking about all this audio grade technology, audiophile level stuff. I think that it's a, what is it, a Texas TP, what is it, the amp module board? Texas Instruments TPA 3255 chip. Now, apparently this is a really good chip. And I can understand that, you know, like a lot of people enjoying this kind of thing. This chip, I mean, it's renowned. It's got better technology, feedback technology, all this stuff built in. So why is a Class D amp so hot? That's what I don't understand. And then that hit the first wall for me against my use case in Class D amplifiers. One, I think that the technology's come a long way. A lot of them sound better. And for my perspective, none of the sound that I was hearing was actually bad. But after 15 minutes and not being able to handle the amps at all, needing that much ventilation, even though it says that it has enhanced air circulation, this kind of thing, I couldn't believe how hot they were. So I thought either it was a combination of my preamp running voltage at a certain level in order to get the volume out of it, that it was so far below gain settings or whatever the case may be, that it was overheating due to something like that. It couldn't have been a fault of some kind because everything in the system was running fine before that. So yeah, I still don't understand why they were running so hot. So I have Class D amps in my other system. I planned on using Class D amps here in the computer system in the front. My BuckEye audios have types of Class D amps built into those cabinets. So I'm a big fan, especially when they work or they are designed well. These Fosi audio amps, I could not believe how hot they were after 15 minutes. It just blew my mind. And that's something that I've been diligently working against in my system. Why I don't have Class A/B anymore. Why I couldn't keep or buy the Thomas & Stereo like TS Special Edition 120s, TS 120s. Amazing sound. I love that some of them can sound great, but I'm not a fan of these amps producing so much heat in the exchange of listening to music. I can't handle it anymore. I do so much in my space now, so I don't have everything overheating. So for these amps to hit almost like I can't hold it in my hand, heat temperatures after 15 minutes in a Class D chip, I was immediately like, no, I can't do this. Because one, it limits where you can put it. Two, you probably have to run fans or better. Like I could maybe get like you know what I mean? I could get one of those computer, you know what I mean? Like those CPU, like I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to look it up. I could probably think of, I can get one of, like Fosi Audio wants me to run one of these things on top of the, wants me to run one of these things on top of their amps or on the bottom of their amps so I can put a fan in the middle and then attach the heat sink to the bottom. Like, what do I have to do with a Class D amp to lower the heat any more than it already should be? Neil is saying here, yes, the heat is probably why they failed for YouTubers. Well, I know Aaron blew one up trying to test it. So Lord Tell here is saying, I use them with two 120 fans in my Lintons. I don't know, sounds great to me. Yeah, I'm not doubting their sound. I think their sound was fine. It was a little bit thin though. The bass was not anywhere close to what I remember from any of my other amps. That's another thing about them that I thought was way off. Their bass level wasn't even close to what I expected out of my speakers. Now, the Radiant Acoustics have amazing bass performance. The purified drivers that are in them, including my BuckEye Audio, same thing. Amazing bass response. So, I mean, yeah, they sounded fine top end, but their bass was lacking in my opinion. It's the same with when I used the topping preamp in the other system. I found that their dynamics and that kind of thing was lacking as well. So yeah, while these things can sound good enough and you can make them work at a reasonable cost, like very reasonable cost, there's just so many other things you're going to have to do and deal with, like put extra fans on them, add a subwoofer, cross them over in a certain way, deal with your system. You know what I mean? You have to tweak and adjust everything for the cost differential. In my opinion, that's what I'm finding. And I didn't really need them. I wanted to just see what they were like. So no protection circuit, cut out on loud nights. So yeah, that's cool. If they work, they work. And I'm not saying they didn't work. I'm saying that for me, the heat was a really big issue, and adding other stuff to make them work was really weird. I thought, am I going to need one of these, like, am I going to need one of these cooling units just to keep the heat down on these units? I thought it was really interesting. So for me, they're out. I just thought that the number of different things with them, giving them a fair chance on some stuff that I was familiar with and a system that I wanted, I didn't personally need them. I have other amps coming, and I can't share what they are yet, but I will. That's my 2 RSL 12S, I guess, mask. What is that? RSL subs? Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's saying the RSL subs take over for the bass that's lacking. Okay, cool. So if you're running them like with subs, then you don't have to worry about the bass level from an amp like that. If you cross them over, then you'll have even less to worry about. And then the mids and highs can be taken care of. Like, good idea. If you wanted to run subs and bi-amp something, then these might be really good for that. I think they're really good for a desktop solution, but not quite ready for big rig. And I had them at my desk. I mean, I'm running Radiant Acoustics 6.2s. So, I mean, maybe those speakers are overkill for a desktop, but I didn't think so when I was running them with everything else. I mean, I have an ASML integrated unit that I was running the same DAC, same cables, same everything else, and they sounded fine with that. But now I had to turn the volume up twice as much, and then they were so hot I couldn't put my hand on them. So they need minimum 8 minute. No, it says 8 ohm. Well, the speakers are pretty much 8 ohm, but in the booklet, in the manual, it says 2 to 8 ohms. Even in the manual, it says 2 to 8 ohms. So while this comment makes sense, in the manual, it says you can run them like anything. So, and if I have speakers that are whatever they are, then it gives me even more reason to say, you know, these are not for me, because my speakers that I have, that I'm not trading and changing just for these speakers, these amplifiers. I'm going to say they're not for me. My system is already sort of established. I needed amps that are going to work for what I have. And they didn't hit the mark. It's very strange. You know, I had high hopes for them. There's a lot of tech that's built in, and I believe in Class D now. Like I've said, I have Purify module amplifiers from BuckEye Audio in my big system. I enjoy the Class D sound that's in my Bacard Audios. They're bi-amped, of course, and DSP controlled. I've enjoyed other Class D amps like Orchard Audio's GANFET amps. I've heard Jay's amps, the A.G.D production, I think Duet. I can't remember which ones he has. They're customized with the tube GANFET tech. They sound great. Axxess and Aavik equipment, that's all Class D. It's Pascal Class D amps. They sound fantastic with their Axxess Forte systems and their other gear. Even their U188s and 288s, 588 system, amazing sound on those. I have no problem with that Class D. But in my use case right now for the speakers that I have, just to make this kind of a short summary, I found that the heat was too much for me, and I found that their lack of bass response for where I'm using them without a subwoofer, not really what I need to hold on to. So it was an interesting experience. And I needed to do that in terms of, you know, while I respect a lot of the guys doing reviews and measurements only get you so far, I wanted to listen to them and hear them for myself. I wanted to see what was going on and if they would work for me. So I did that, and what I found was unsatisfactory. So now I'm going to send them back. That's just for my case. Yes, there's solutions. You can put fans on them, and I did have them propped up on fans, so they were away from a tabletop by a number of inches, and still they were, like, I didn't want to leave my hand on them. I could probably tolerated it, but I didn't understand why they were so hot for little to no time with them on anything. They weren't playing anything loud or demanding, so... Neil said, I haven't had too much experience with Class D. I have a Hagel H20 coming in for me to try. I wanted to ask Hagel if I could borrow 2 of those so I could bi-amp my towers. Because apparently the Hagel sound engine technology is in the amplifiers. That's where their magic is. So now I have the P20 preamp, and I was like, shit. Do I need to get the H20 also, or two H20 so I can bi-amp my towers? And you know, like they're Class D, they're gonna get warm a little bit. So I held myself back from that idea for now, because I might still do that. I have Class D in there now, the purified modules that I spent money on already, like they're already in the system. They sound great. I love the way they perform. They have extra capacitor bank, so all of their dynamics and push is there. It's immediate. It sounds great. It's neutral. I think that they're probably on par with the Hagel system, but I wouldn't know unless I asked to borrow one. So this is giving me the idea of maybe asking for one just to see how it performs. I can swap the monos for one amp. I don't know. And Mbuno, what's up? How are you this evening? Hopefully you're all right. And I am using Sim Audio Moon right now. Yes, another highly, highly suggested item. People suggested using like an integrated amp. So here's the problem. What is it? The M400s? So there's a 740 preamp and the M400 monoblocks that I would get from Moon Audio if I had the opportunity. Here, I would do a I think it's a 740. That's I don't need an integrated unit. I just need an analog preamp because I have streamer DAC and everything else on the outside, and I've already decided on a preamp, so that's already coming. It's out of the question. But other monoblocks, and I'm just flirting with monoblocks now. A number of people have told me, like, there's no need. Just get a stereo amp. They're built good enough and quiet enough now. You don't need more audio separation in their channels that you need to separate the chassis anymore. They've come a long way. So I don't know if bi-amping or monoblocks are really necessary. Now, it's just that's the way my system is set up. I have some now that are cheaper than most stereo amps. I love the way they sound. I don't see there's a reason to do that. So bi-amping each speaker with separate amplifiers is endgame stuff. Well, I have monos now on those channels, and there's a possibility that I could get two or an advanced version of the monos I have for even less than one of the Moon Audio amps. That's my thing about Class D and buying them the right way. I'm going to show you which one it is too, given that we're here talking about amps. I don't mind, and I love that you guys are giving me these suggestions and talking through this stuff here. So let me I'll share this one. This is where I would go for my next set of amps. Basically doing double mono bi-amp. These are where I would go. If you guys want to know what I would do, this is the place that I would go. This is my type of amps now. The ones that I'm using are not here right now, but BuckEye Amps builds them out of Ohio, imports or buys or brings in these modules from wherever they're made. Hypex, I believe, is European. Purify's definitely made in Denmark, or at least the brand is. Yeah, put an asterisk around that, because I'm sure I heard something about him considering this, and he's a fairly active guy in most of the forums, so I'm pretty sure that's in the works, or at least he considered it. So right now, the shop, you're seeing Hypex modules. You've got lots of choices of N cores, and these are the high-powered versions too. You can get all kinds of configurations, up to 8 channels. Look at this, 8 channels. 8 channels at 150 at 8 ohms. Look at the price you're paying. Look at that price. This is USD. Compared to any other amp. Like we were just talking about bi-amping. What happens if I get a 4-channel? Let's go back. What happens if I get a 4-channel and then I use 2 of the channels each? Look at that, $1,000 US, and I've got my speakers bi-amped. That's tested and proven Class D technology. Plus, what's the power supply in here? So that's the modules. High damping factor, 18 amp output. That's awesome. Doesn't say anything about the power supply though. That's interesting. Normally there'd be something in here about the power supply. It's probably just the matching power supply. All-in-one dual channel amplifier module. So it's all in one, which means if you go into this page, then yeah. So there's different kinds. There's Encore and Encore X. So you can on all of these kinds. So here's the other one. So the amp that I have isn't listed here anymore. What is listed now, the equivalent to what I have now would be this one. Essentially, that's it. It's a plain Jane, normal chassis, balanced in, XLR in, gain setting. He does his own custom input boards. And there's the price. For 230 watts at 8 ohms. But the thing that gets me is this. 0.0001 at 100 watts at 4 ohms. Like, the distortion levels and the ratings on these are incredible. And this isn't really the same as mine. This has the SMPS, like 1200 power supply. So that's a high powered, 1200, that's 1200 watts or 1200 whatever power on the board. And then there's op amps listed, your gain settings. This is second gen Egan Talk. So this is actually the version of Class D from Purify that's after the M23 and the NAD amps. Right, so this is what I'm using now. This is my standard, basically. And look at the cost. If I wanted to bi-amp my speakers, I could easily just buy a set of these, put these on the tweeters, and use the ones I have with the extra capacitor board and the other power supply on the woofer side. And then, like, what is that, $1,700 per channel? And I have 4 monoblocks bi-amping my towers? That's absolutely ridiculous. You're not getting something fancy. You can paint them. You can get them painted, ordered in a color that you want. Probably more than this if you email them. This turned into an advertisement for BuckEye Audio all of a sudden. I meant to be talking about the Fosi audios, but someone brought it up, and I'm not shy of sharing this stuff. This is where my mind is. And Boone is saying amazing value. I think so. You're talking about some of the best mod, and this is the 5625 module. When you get down here, this is a little more expensive, obviously, but you're talking about relatively same distortion, but then look at how many watts. You're talking 400 watts. At 4 ohms. It's 2 ohms stable. But at 2 ohms, look what you're getting into. Can I zoom in on this? Come on. Are we seeing that? For $1,200. That's like Michi M8 numbers. Or Hegel, like, H30A numbers. But that one costs 30 grand. This is $1,200. I don't know. In no heat. I will say this. I'll say this as many times as people are listening. These amps don't get hot. They get warm. You can tell they're on by putting your hand over the power supply. The power supply has heat coming from it because the power supply is running most of the input. The amp module itself does not get hot. It has no heat sinks. It's got vents on the top to vent whatever kind of warmth happens. It doesn't get hot. And that's crazy numbers. If you look at the Purify side, the numbers are even lower than this. It's quad 0.6% distortion on their module. It's crazy amount of goodness. So I spent, what was it? They're about $200. $200 for the Fosi monos. Right? I think. 109. That's USD maybe. They're reviewed all to hell. Lots of people have reviewed them. Old Guy Hi-Fi, Gabster, British Audiophile, Forever Analog. Shut up. Sound Matters. Aaron reviewed them. I think, everybody and their dog reviewed these. Are they a product for someone? Yes. Yeah. And Boona's saying no brainer. I mean, depending on what your needs are, like, are 800, 900 US amps monoblocks the right choice for someone who's doesn't have the right room setup, doesn't really pay that close attention to quality, isn't really concerned with the heat on these amps? Like, if they're just going to put them somewhere, they continue to work, the heat's not an issue. So you live somewhere, cold. If you're in Iceland, maybe you want like tubes and hot amps to keep you warm, whatever the case may be. If that's you, cool. These amps are going to keep you warm. That's, that's part of their tech. I love that they've got things in here for quality audio. It sounds okay. I'm not going to say it sounds amazing. I didn't really sit there and compare them between amps. I didn't compare them to the Purifies. I didn't compare them to directly to the SMSL amp. I mean, I know the volume settings were something, and then the tone that they were giving off was another thing that I compared. But I didn't do a thorough comparison because some of the other factors in it were just enough for me to say, no, I don't need this. So in terms of the sound, I think that they sound okay. There's other characters that I don't like about them. So my experience with the Fosi audios are they sound reasonable for their costs. If you're going to spend, $100, $180 in Canada, I got them from Amazon. They're a little bit more than that. Let's see what they were on. Where art thou? Oh, no, that's American. I don't know why it's showing me that. Anyways, my Amazon experience was pretty swift. No problems with the return policy. Thank you very much. They didn't fail and they weren't smoking, but I thought the heat of them after 15 minutes was enough for me. Because if I got into them one day and I started delivering a lot more power, and the speakers that I have, the Purify drivers in the Radiant Acoustic 6.2s, I didn't want to chance it. I mean, what's the chance that they blow up? And then what happens? What kind of a conversation am I going to have with the brand then? Once they're shot, they're shot. And I've already stated, I have other amps incoming, so for me to hold on to the Fosi audios with the number of the characteristics that I heard, heard and felt, like the heat and their low volume output and the fact that I was running XLRs, and they're not for my use case, right? I don't think they sound bad. I won't say anything about that. I think that they function, sure, but they're exhibiting the heat problem. I don't know. They're going to have to come up with another solution, because I think the heat generated by that little tiny little chip shouldn't be that high. I don't know what's making them that hot. It's made for people who hear music, not listen to music. That's okay. Fair enough. If they're in a certain area and you just need them to work, I mean, I've seen people run 10 of these in a home theater. I can't imagine how hot that rack is. Jesus Christ. I mean, and we know some hot racks, don't we? I'm careful. The censorship's going to come for me. So, my recommendation, if you're going to get monoblocks, get those. Or those. Because this is where I might go next. I mean, I already have a decent pair. And the other amps that I have coming in are technically Class A/B. So I could technically get these to replace in the other system. And then I can compare because they are technically better. They've got more power. They're the second gen. They've got lower distortion numbers. They've got increased in technology in all of it. They don't need the extra capacitor board because they're 96% efficient. I mean, come on. There it is. I'm not making this shit up. That's what it actually says. Hold on. Zoom. So this is another thing. This is an amazing power supply. This is something that Hagel advertises. I have no idea how much, if anybody needs that. I mean, the only person I know who needs that much output is Scott Newby at Scott and Kat's podcast, Bass Brings Us Together. That dude runs subwoofers everywhere in the house, like massive subwoofers. So to be running 1,000 watts through a giant coil at low impedance numbers to do bass output, you need kind of high current in order to keep up with the demand of the signal. But this makes it a no-brainer. I mean, you're not going to get any heat or anything off of it because it's going to generate that power. With what you're losing 4% to heat. That's nuts. That's what I want in my system. I want something that's that efficient. Human beings operate in this landscape where you want everything else to be efficient. You want your car to be efficient. You want your insulation in your house to be efficient. You're not losing heating or cooling in the summer or the winter. You want your workflow to be efficient. If you're a business, you don't want to be losing money out of your margins. You want everything to be efficient. Shit, people cut the corners on the sidewalk just to save time around the corner. Human beings are after this efficiency line. So do I even have to say the end of that? It's a rhetorical question. The industry doesn't really have anything that's better than that. And I know we're talking about sound quality versus numbers. And, there's some wiggle room there, but blind test it. Blind test a number of people against whatever it is for performance. Double blind test people and see what happens. That's the only real objective factoring is double blind testing stuff. Because otherwise people are just going to talk and talk and talk. And talk is pretty cheap, right? So that's my probably future go-to. I don't need it at this point, and I know. I mean, if I'm going to do that, I might want to paint them. So I might get, there's multiple there. And then these are textured finishes. So maybe like a sandblasted white. I have white in the room now. I mean, I don't know if that's going to stick. Textured black might be cool. Different sort of colors. There might be some other options there. I have no idea. But it takes a couple extra weeks. You can order them in. Connectors are all the same. I'm not really sure if you can get RCAs. Custom builds, you can email and find out about stuff like that. No B stocks there. But anyways, lots of options and models. I mean, even the Encore stuff, Hypex stuff, it's still really, really good. So if I was to look at any one of those, let me compare the basic. Look at that. So 825, you're still looking at really crazy low distortion numbers, 350 watts at 4 ohms. Power efficiency is 93, still relatively high output. Class D is naturally high damping factor because of the efficiency of the switching. You don't get a lot of the push. It's stable across multiple ohms. It's 2 ohm stable in most cases. So a lot of these boards are built for stuff like that. I had asked about op-amp switching. I mean, they talk about the same thing in Fosi audio. Somewhere down here, they were talking about, where is it? Engineer for audiophile, optimum choice for home audio, RCA, XLR, flexibility. What is this? Oh, 10-minute auto shut off. I actually don't like that feature. Yeah, you have Axxess here. You have op-amp switching, swappable op-amps. I had asked about op-amps. I asked Dylan about op-amp swapping because the input board on his amps have the option, and now Purify has an input board also in their Eval 5 kit. So the Eval 5, I don't know if I can get my hands on those. And the thing is, it doesn't come with a power supply, so I'm not really sure what to do about that. So there's the kit. That's the 90, the 49, and the 9040 board, plus their input board, which has got XLR and the gain switching, which I think you can do from inside or add a switch and do it outside. So this is more DIY featured. The eval kit is going to be available for anybody doing DIY, building your own amp kit. So I was asking about a full kit, switches, cables, inputs, chassis, like all of that stuff. And they said basically there's no way, there's not really any reason to swap the op amps because they're already, this is like Purify level op amps. This one's technically the one that I want to go for, but I don't know that I can get a full kit yet, chassis, everything else. There's a number of brands that do. VTV is one of those kits that has that. Let me see if I can find that. So there are a number of boards in here. Yeah, whatever. Monoblock, 625. Where's the 9040 board? Let me see. Oh, it's not here. So the 625, 6525 board. There's the mono. Vacuum tube buffer. So if you're really interested in vacuum tubes or whatever, and you want to put that into the chain, that you can get the new Gen 2 Purify boards with the tube buffer and look, 1,700 USD. It's pretty simple. You got all that power, all that technology, all of that efficiency. Hypex power supply, not the same as the other board. So there's this 7040 board. That's the one that I have, the board that I have. Different kind of build. That's a stereo. Anyways, I'm getting way off the rails here. The point is, when you're coming from options that are where you have high potential in a Class D amp, and I'm comparing my experiences with some of those to the Fosi, I thought, the heat coming out of this is just a no for me. So Scott got those monster monos. Yeah, he has the Hypex, the high-powered Hypex ones. He's got this one, I think. So that's, 1,600 watts at 8 ohms. So, yeah. Distortion's a little bit higher, though. See that? I mean, at rated power, for God's sakes. So it's a little bit different. Those amps are a little bit less efficient than the Purifies. So it's like Purify's built for hi-fi, and Hypex is built for like high-powered fidelity, if that makes sense. So what you could do is you could run these on the woofer side, and you don't need that much power on the tweeter side. There's no reason to have 400 watts on a tweeter. I have no idea who's running 400 watts on a tweeter. God, most people probably couldn't stay in the room with a tweeter running 5 watts, depending on how sensitive they are. 5 watts could run, well, I guess if you're running, God, no one would want 120 dBs on a tweeter. Jesus, that would be so loud. 120 in the bass is no problem. I mean, you could handle that in your body. It's different. 120 dBs on a tweeter? Jeez. True Voice of Reason, first of all, welcome. Checking in from the theater, seeing Carl Palmer, an evening with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Carl is such a great guy in person. Squee. Enjoy. I hope the concert and show is amazing. Thank you for stepping in. I love that. My friends just checking in from all over the place. So let me dial back here and just close this out on the Fosi, because that was the point to begin with. My time with the Fosi was short. It was relatively well informed. I've seen all the other videos before. I've seen what they can do. I've heard about what they can do. I gave them a fair chance in terms of like what I needed them to do. Being too hot to handle or even touch, in my opinion, like for any amount of time after 15 minutes of use, was just a no-go. For a Class D amp, as well built as it is or as great sounding as it is, I don't need them heating up my space. I mean, if I'm enjoying my audio, cool, that's amazing, but I also don't need to be heating up my room at the same time. Everything that I've been putting into my system has been to reduce the heat that's in my system. I mean, even my home theater system, I have a Denon now that runs hot, but I've got 2 fans on it to keep it running cool. And it has a preamp mode in it if I decide to upgrade from there. And there's a chance that I might do that. A number of the channels might switch over to a Class D module of some kind. I mean, in the future, who knows? But in preamp mode, all of the amplifiers will be turned off, and I can run it in preamp mode only, and none of the voltage or whatever will be used for the amp modules, which means no heat. A pre-pro would be the best solution, but I don't have one of those now. Yeah, exactly. 120 on a tweeter would be crazy loud. You don't need that much power. I mean, there's a Fletcher-Munson curve for volume over time, and I think that our preference is louder bass, quieter highs. So when you see charts that look like this online, the bass is, I know this, I'm doing this backwards thing here, but anyways, the bass level's high, but the tweeter level's low. So in room, they're sloped down like this. Because when you turn up the volume, if your tweeter level is flat on volume, that's annoying. That's really too loud. You want the curve to be like this. Bass is up, tweeters down. I mean, at low levels, you can have it flat, but as you turn it up, that's science. I mean, that's double blind tests. So Class D is the future, power on tap, running cool. Yeah, I mean, everything is like that. The efficiency and power usage, save the planet, green, whatever. I don't give a shit what camp you're in. Everything about human beings is made and designed and continually moving towards more and more efficient means of anything, easier to do it. That's a human being thing. Class D is that future. Now, is it winning against nostalgia? Probably not. Nostalgia is a strong and valid point of psychology. How and what we think and what we value makes a real difference in the world. It's not pseudoscience. It really does make a difference in terms of our perception of reality, our ability to do things. Survival instincts are definitely influenced by value structures. So if we value something that's nostalgic, the enjoyment of something like that can't be disputed. It's subjective, sure, but it's evaluated objectively. It distinctly makes a difference. It makes statistically significant numbers when tested. So I'm not going to knock that, but when it comes to everything else, Class D's definitely got the future written all over. It's in every cell phone. It's in every portable device. It's in most TVs. It's all Class D. Subwoofer amplifiers have been Class D for over a decade, and they're getting better and better and smaller. Most powered speakers, except for like the new Focal Diva series and a couple of Studio Monitor series, some of those are Class AB, but those are changing over time. And as the amps get better and the tech gets better and the filters get better and the DSP corrects where it's better, what can I say? I mean, this is the future of tech. Fosi Audio's got an incredible opportunity to learn from what they're doing here. And I have a feeling that whatever they're doing next, if I was going to give any kind of opinion on what happens in the future in Fosi Audio, if anybody, I doubt anybody at Fosi Audio is going to see this. If Fosi Audio does see this, hello. What is this? I'm getting a text message from some stranger probably. Oh, someone delivered my package today and they're asking me to give them 5 stars. Can you believe that? They use my phone number from a delivery to text me privately and ask for a 5-star. What happened? What do you guys think I should do? Do you think I should just report that? I dare not read you his name. You guys might have your own thoughts. Yeah, I can't read the name. But I can give you 3 guesses. I can give you 3 guesses who it was. That's fucking gross. I should just report them. I don't even... GAN Tech, yes. GANFET Tech is coming a long way. There's actually another tech out there. Twin J FET. Gado? Hold on. Twin FET, push-pull technology. So yeah, this. Wow, what happened to this page? Let's reload that. What the hell just happened? Okay. So this is Twin FET technology. This is like push-pull correction technology that Gado Audio is using. This is another brand out of Denmark. God, everything in Denmark seems to be so awesome. So multiple parallel transistors. They're showcasing this. So each transistor might have a little bit of wobble in it, parallel sine wave, yada yada. So they're not completely in sync. The Twin FET output going the other way makes them succinct, I guess. So you're talking about voltage rail. Yeah. So there's a little bit of like wobble in the signal here, and they're saying that Gado Twin FET technology zeroes it out. So it's more accurate. So this is pretty cool. They've got some pretty cool stuff. Integrated preamps, power amps. I'll show you the power amps. They're pretty sexy looking. These were reviewed a number of years ago. A lot of the guys reviewed these a couple years ago. They reviewed very well. They're a little more expensive. They're essentially the same look. That's the same terminals, almost the same tech that was on some of the other amps. This has got RCA in, which is pretty cool. Lots of awards, lots of, like very stylish. There's the pre and power amps, very Nordic to have firewood stacked onto your amps. Yeah, that's really going to happen in a real world situation. Extra capacitance, excellent MOSFETs, very strong power supply. So great technology. This is another new one, but it's still class AB. This is going to run a little bit hot. I don't know exactly how they manage the heat, but the heat sinks are on the side here. Very beautiful looking, and you can change the wood panels for whatever you want. So check that out. Shout out to Gado Audio. But, like I said, this being a starting point, I think Fosi Audio in the future has an opportunity to make amazing improvements, learning what they've learned from this. So as long as they're on the same die, transistors have a very likelihood of being almost exactly the same. Same die, meaning from the same sourcing. So you're talking about mismatched transistors. So if they don't voice them the same when they go in the chassis, then they could be different. Yeah, that could be true. Interesting. I mean, this is very technical stuff, but I mean, you're talking about the differences between prices and quality and why we pay for hi-fi and why other things are done a certain way. Is the twin FET really a thing? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just a selling point. Who knows? I mean, think about the Fosi Audio was advertising it being like a very efficient Class D module, whatever, but then it's got so much heat, everybody has to put fans on it. I don't see why. Why, if it's so efficient and good technology, do you have to cool it down so much? So, anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. It's been almost an hour. I didn't plan on being on this long. I gotta get in and finish a couple songs, wind down the other room, clean up in there. I'm still sharing the space as of now. I mean, I'm anticipating next year to be really busy, a lot of other stuff going on, so we'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. I thank you, my friends, for joining the live, commenting, chatting. The chat means a lot. This means a lot. You guys coming in to talk about stuff with me and having a conversation means a lot to me. It might not mean shit to YouTube. It might not mean a lot to a lot of other people. But the conversation here with me means a lot, because if I'm sitting around by myself, I'm reaching out to what I would consider friends in the industry, community, building community. And I believe as of today as well, if you guys can celebrate with me, I believe I did hit the 2,000 subscriber mark just today. You guys see that? Focus, phone, god damn it. What the hell? Yeah, anyways. We're over 2,000. It's 2006 right now as of my last live or so. So thank you for that. Thank you for sticking around, just, being part of this journey, because 2,000 subscribers is really nothing in audio now. I mean, Cheap Audio Man started a number of years ago, about the same time that I did. Mind you, he has a completely different style and he's a great dude. He's almost at 400,000. He's well on his way over 350 now. A lot of the other channels as well. A lot of the guys have been at it for 10 plus years. Again, they have a very different style, and I admire what they're doing and the kind of content and access that they have. Amazing stuff. Kudos to them. I enjoy and watch all of their stuff. And myself, same thing. 4 years of trying to do audio shows, taking photography, working with some of the brands, getting to know my friends. It's been a journey. So it's a milestone that I really appreciate. True Voice of Reason follows up. That's how transistors of all other op amps except are made on a die with the structure. Yes, the die comes from its certain silicon, whatever, and then it's placed. Yes. So they're all on the same one. They're all reduced in differences. Yes. Same thing with computer chips and certain die formations, whatever. Yep. Talking about QC and manufacturers. So if you take two discrete transistors, they're on the separate disks, they might have differences. Okay, so it depends on how they're manufactured. So if manufacturers are not testing and voice matching or whatever you want to call it, transistor per transistor, and then lining them up so they all match from the same die set, that's something that some of the higher end companies might do, is transistor match, and some of them might not. So it'd be really interesting to see who does what, right? Like, they're not going to put that on a spec sheet. Some of them do, and maybe that's why they cost more, because they have to purchase them in a die set, and that might cost a lot more money. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. I thank you guys for being here. I wish you a great weekend. I thank everybody for subscribing, liking, sharing, talking with me in the comments, coming in for the live streams. Again, my streaming schedule probably in the future will be Tuesday, Thursday evenings, 4 or 5 p.m., 5 to 6 p.m., maybe 6 to 7 p.m. Fridays, potentially in the evening, 7, 8-ish, give or take, depending on my availability here. And then Saturdays, I try to hit every evening, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. Depending on whether I'm going out to a store or show. My edited, filmed videos are very, very lacking lately. Most of the time I just do lives, because I'm spending all this time with you talking, allowing people to communicate, share their thoughts, having a conversation in the moment, which is what I really value. If I'm making a video and I got to sit down and edit or upload it, then it takes twice as much time. I personally don't like doing that. Again, we mentioned talking about efficiency all day. I'd rather sit down and do this, talk with my audience, allow people to catch up with the conversation afterwards, but then I don't have to sit and edit this stuff. It's out there. It's already, in the world. We can chat in the comments afterwards. So efficiency is the name of the game. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me this week, and I appreciate you. Enjoy the concert, True Voice of Reason. Mbuna was here for a while. Thank you very much for being here. Neil K. also coming in with some thoughts and opinions. By Giannis. The bi-amping comment is definitely endgame stuff, especially when you can do it properly. Definitely. All right. I'll see everybody in the next video. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. I'll see you in the future.